Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video right here on Free Will Photos. Today we're going to be looking at advanced search inside of ON1 Photo Raw. Sorry that I wasn't able to get a video out this Tuesday, but my iMac has been tripping. I think I fixed the problem, so hopefully all that works out. Before I get into the content, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you're into ON1 Photo Raw content. I produce content on a very consistent basis here on the channel when my computer is cooperating. So if that's something you're interested in, please smash the subscribe button. And if you find this video helpful, hit the like button. You can also check the description box below for a link to a free trial of ON1 2021 and also the link to my newsletter subscription list. So let's go ahead and dive into advanced search. Okay, so here we are inside of ON1 Photo Raw, and we are looking at some very random photos that I have from, I don't know how long ago this is, 2019. So not too long ago, but definitely not more recent times. So I'm going to make this very simple. I need to make some selections here. I should have done it before, so I'm going to hit the 3-star on that one. And it's not as if I really care that these are 3 stars. I'll even make that a 4 and a 2. This is just going to give me some criteria so I can help demonstrate the power of using advanced search over everything else. So just bear with me for a second here. As you can see, I have a ton of photos in this folder, 141 photos to be exact. If you're wondering how I figure that out, if you come up to the top of your ON1 Photo Raw, it'll tell you the number of photos you have selected and the number of images inside of the current folder that you are browsing. So as you can see, I have 1 photo selected. If I select another photo, now I have 2 photos selected. So very simple. Just something for you to be aware of. And we're going to watch this number decrease because we're going to use advanced search. So let's go over the advanced search module really quick. All right. The first thing here inside the advanced search is the presets. Every module, or most of the modules, come with some form of a preset or a quick selection thing. And then in the drop down, there's even more information here. All right, so you can use these. Just be careful, because if you hit the like, I'm not going to do it because my computer is already running pretty slow and I don't want to mess up the video. But if you hit the like, then what ends up happening is it'll go to your catalog folders. Now, if that's where you want to find the photos that you liked, then absolutely go for it. I don't really use catalog folders. I do have this particular thing cataloged because I wanted the video to move smoothly, but that's the only reason why. I don't use too many catalog folders because I have a pretty decent sized cache, and then when I'm done editing the photos, I'll clear them out, and if it has to rebuild whatever again, then I'm okay with that. All right, so presets. The next thing down is your first set of criteria you want ON1 Photo Raw to use to discriminate. This is going to look at the current moment. It's going to search all photos. I don't want it to search all of my photos. I only want it to filter in the current photos folder. I know I jumped over a few things, but it's important that you know where ON1 is going to search. So go ahead and choose, or at least for me, I choose filter current photos. That way you can see my my path up here up to Chena River. So it's only going to search the photos inside of the folder that says Chena River. Now, if I hit the little heart icon, it brings up all of the images that have a heart. And as you can see, I have 4 selected out of that 141 photos inside of the folder. Now, if you don't like that, you just click on the heart again, it undoes it. All right. Now, if I hit the X, you'll see that I have no photos deselected or rejected in this particular folder. And then I have a bunch of photos that I have no selection for, and it got rid of all the likes. So this is a good way if you're going through your initial culling, the like and the reject format. If you haven't caught my video on culling, it'll be in the description box below, and a card will pop up on the screen as well. But if you haven't caught it, you'll know that you can select the heart or the reject, and this is a good way of filtering to see what you have inside of that folder once you're done with your culling. All right, now I'm going to unselect the heart. Make sure that you pay attention to what it is that you're filtering here. All right, the next one is the star rating. That's self-explanatory, works exactly like the hearts and the rejects. And then the colors. Now the colors are cool for me because if you're working on a project and you have deliverables, you can say, okay, my deliverables are going to be green, and the version, because ON1 Photo Raw allows you to create different versions of a photo, maybe you make the versions yellow. I don't know. The power in whatever you choose to create is 100% up to you. If you're delivering photos to a client, I highly recommend you come up with some sort of a system that allows you to mark the photos that you want to deliver in that particular folder or a catalog or gallery. So there's that. I'm going to uncheck those because I want to make sure that I'm following this. The next thing down is going to be a time frame. Now, I typically leave this on all time because I'm searching inside of a folder that is particularly down to one event. Now, if you happen to have a folder where you have multiple dates and times and all that stuff, then yeah, maybe you will want to come in to create it in the last 7 days, create it today if you're working on like all your photos inside of one folder. You can use your best judgment on how to incorporate this. But then the next thing is a date range, right? So if I have folders or photos in the folder that go all the way back for 7, 12, 10, 15 years, whatever, and I only want to see the photos from 2005 to 2010, right? I recently had to do this to find some photos of my children so I can build a calendar for my wife. And I had to find photos from a certain time frame, so it'll be like a baby calendar photo or baby photo calendar, however you say that, whatever. This came in extremely handy because I had these photos all over on the hard drive. So that is the one time, or that is a time, I won't say the one time, that is a time where I would select search all photos, and then I would just let it go, and I was able to find some of those photos because you'll see there's some other options available to search here in a second. I don't want to get ahead of myself too much. All right, so that's the time frame. You can search by other things. So if you know that there's a particular keyword inside of your photos, you can do that. Again, inside of this folder, all of these photos are named the exact same thing because I imported them and renamed them so that way they had the exact same name. So I don't have that challenge of, or I don't have a good example of using the search in this particular example. The next thing down, we already talked about the filter. So the next thing down, this is where advanced search really shines. Inside of the advanced section, you can filter and kind of sort through some images. And this reminds me a lot of Lightroom, where you can choose all of the attributes that you've given to a photo. And, those are kind of internal to the photo editing software. Well, this allows you, the advanced section allows you to really get into the metadata of a photo, which Lightroom allows you to do as well, but I'm just showing you how to do it in ON1. Where the very first thing that we get here is match all criteria. All right. So what this is saying is it's an argument. as long as the photos have everything that I'm going to add in here as a filter, go ahead and display it over here on the right. That's all that that's saying. And for this case, instead of everything, one of my favorite ones is aperture. Now, it took me a while to figure this one out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit F2.0. Well, guess I don't have any in this folder. Let's go with 2.8. No, F4. All right, so I have 8 photos that fall into the F4 range. Now, let me show you something that I did not pay attention to when I was first using the Aperture filter. If you notice, these are all hole stops all the way through the range. All right. When you come over here, I'll click on this one, and this photo was shot at F5. It was like mind-blowing. Why was I getting a photo at F5 and I selected F4? I want to see my photos that are at F4. So the way that the aperture filter works is it goes with the lowest aperture, or the aperture that you selected, all the way up until the next aperture that you select. So if I hit 5.6, those photos go away because those photos that I just showed you were outside of the 5.4 window, or I'm sorry, they are not within the 5.6 to the F8 window, right? So ON1 rejects those and only accepts anything between 5.6 to F8. So keep that in mind. You're not getting a genuine aperture. Like when you click this and you're like, oh, I got 8 images at 5.6. What ON1's really doing is saying you have 8 images between 5.6 and just shy of F8. As soon as you go to F8, these photos are going to go away, and the next group of photos are going to pop up. All right. So just keep that in mind. Be very cognizant of that. It is a great way of searching through your images. Just I had to put that disclaimer out there because it drove me crazy for quite some time. Now, one of my favorite arguments, or filters, if you will, that I put in here is camera. Now, on here, you're going to see I have a lot of cameras stored on here, and it's not that I have all of these types of cameras, right? At some point, I ended up with files that had metadata from cameras that I may not own, and then I also have cameras in here from cell phones and other devices where people sent me photos and I just threw them into my photo folders or whatever, and ON1 read the metadata inside of the photo and threw that bad boy right here into ON1 Photo Raw. All right, that's all this is saying, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because what it helps with is if I'm like, okay, I want to see some cell phone photos. I think these are cell phones right here. I don't know. Well, actually, I don't have any inside of the current folder, so I know I don't have any cell phone photos in there. Now, what I do have should be D5200 images. Yeah, all 141 of these were shot with the D5200. That was my camera at the time. I didn't even own the EOS R. I think I bought the EOS R towards the end of 2019, and then the R6 over the summer of 2020. So I did not have a Canon camera. But if you have a folder with a ton of different cameras that could have taken the photos, like I don't have any of the D610 in there, you can absolutely filter this by those images, all right? Or by those cameras. Now, I'm going to leave this at D5200 just to show you the power of using the advanced version of the advanced search, or advanced features of advanced search. So we have camera. The next thing that I'm going to look for is lens, right? This is typically how we search for images. I'm looking for the camera that I shot it with and the lens that I shot it with. Because that's kind of like the combination. You need a camera and a lens in any form of photography. Camera, lens, those are like the bare bones. So I know that I had my 40mm macro, and I have these two images that were inside of that. All right. And apparently I only had these 2 images, but I don't believe that to be the truth. So for whatever reason, and let me check the file type. Yeah, okay. So here's something that you also have to be aware of. ON1 Photo Raw, it is a really intelligent software, but if you look at these images, they're both TIFF files, TIF. What that means is it's only reading the focal length and the aperture, or the maximum aperture, whatever, the widest aperture that the lens I photographed this with can take it at. It is not capturing the manufacturer. So essentially what ON1 Photo Raw is seeing is I have a 40mm f2.8 lens, and then if I scroll down here until I get to Nikon, you're going to see I have a Nikon 40mm f2.8 lens, and you're going to see a lot more images because these are the raw files, and the raw files can capture the name of the lens. I will have to look into finding a way to putting the lens name into a TIFF file. I haven't really searched into that, but again, just be aware of that. So when you're using the advanced search, you're not going to find something in there that you're like, oh man, I don't know why this is in here. Okay. And I think I also used my wide angle lens, which is not a Nikon lens. And I don't see that one on here, so I bet you. Yeah. So what ended up happening is the 11-16 lens that I have, which is right here. I know that I used it for these images that are inside of this folder, but for whatever reason, it's a Tokina lens, and I don't see it listed anywhere in here. So just be aware of that. I'll give you like the common workaround that I use whenever I run into this issue. All right. So what I do is I come down to an image that I know I shot with the lens that I'm looking for. That's not it. So those weren't it. Maybe it was this one. Okay, so this, and so for whatever reason, the Nikon does not capture that Tokina lens, the name of it, because I know for a fact that I took this photo with the 11-16, and it just came up as a 14mm lens. So just keep in mind, sometimes you will not be able to find it by the lens, but if you have a good camera to lens combination, you'll be able to find it. All right. And that's not ON1's fault. That's just the way that the metadata was captured into the photo. If I find a way that you can add in the lens into the metadata later on down the line, because there is an option right here for lens. What I don't get is an ability to like change this, right? I can't change any of this stuff over here. So it's not as simple as just clicking on it and selecting a drop down and saying, no, this is the lens that I actually use. So if you know how to do this, drop it in the comment section below, and let's just help out the community and teach me something in the process, please. All right. So let's just say I know that I had my, wow, we're going to go back to my Nikon 40mm 2.8. All right. So this is my search criteria, and I'm like, okay, every time that I want to go search for photos, I know for a fact that I'm going to be looking for my Nikon D5200, and I'm going to be looking for my Nikon 40mm 2.8. Those are the two things. I don't want to have to set this up every time. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can use presets. So you'll hit the drop down here, and you'll come down to Save New Style, and you just name it whatever you want. I'm going to name this Nikon D5200. 5200 hyphen or dash, whatever, 40 millimeter f 2.8. Boom. So now I'm gonna hit save, and I'm going to reset the advanced search. So as you can see, I have 141 images inside of ON1, or inside of this particular folder. If I come to the more, and just like any of these, they get labeled, or I'm sorry, not labeled, they get alphabetized with everything else. So I'm going to click it, and you're going to watch that my number went from 141 to 45 images. All right, so in a nutshell, that's how you use ON1 Photo Raw Advanced Search. This is a phenomenal tool for you to use when you're editing your photos and you just want to see a select version of the photo or a select group of the photos. And this is the closest that I've been able to get to the Lightroom filter options, which most of them are there. And I've been able to find my images very, very fast and very, very efficient. So check it out. Let me know in the comment section if you have questions about the advanced search or just ways of using the advanced search. Now, I want to say very, very, very humble thank you to every single person who has managed to hit that subscribe button. I really genuinely appreciate it. And in light of that, I'm going to be hosting the first live stream for Free Will Photos on March 27th. The time still hasn't been fully worked out yet, so just stay on the lookout for the time. But during this live stream, I'm going to be editing photos that have been submitted by user or subscribers to the channel. And if you are a subscriber to the channel and want to submit a photo, go ahead and email a JPEG or a TIFF file to freewillphotos@gmail.com. You can find that email address in the description box below. Now, over the live stream, I'm going to be answering questions as well. So if you have questions and you want to submit those also over the email, specifically about things in ON1 Photo Raw, or you can leave them in the comment section below. Either way is fine with me. What I'm going to do is compile those questions and try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. The live stream is probably going to be about an hour, maybe 2 hours at the max. It won't be a huge investment out of the day. I would just want to make sure that I'm giving back to the community and look forward to doing those more frequently as we continue to grow here in ON1 Photo Raw, or in the YouTube ON1 Photo Raw community. So until next time, I want you guys to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace.